What's going on, world? Thank you for watching another episode of Insightful Principles. Within this content today, what I want to talk about is how to financially prepare for a recession. We've seen a lot of talks within the media, even when you're looking at some of the economic data, it is pointing that we are getting close. Like I said, everything is pretty much a lot of uncertainty, so no one knows for sure, but all we can really do is just look at the data and understand if we are getting closer to that point. But I'm not going to spend much time throughout this video going over the data, but what I want to do is just give you all some great points to keep in mind when you are preparing for an economic downturn within our economy. So the very first thing that you want to do is you want to live below your means. You want to make sure that you have an effective spending plan, that you're budgeting, that you are looking at your expenses and your income on a month-to-month basis and looking at different ways of how you can scale back. So, how can you reduce your grocery bill? How can you find cheaper places to be able to pay for gas, such as using either Costco or Sam's Club, using their membership to be able to have discounted fuel. When it comes to just the grocery shopping, I like going to places like, Aldi's. They tend to be the most affordable when you think at their prices compared to a Kroger's or a Target. Walmart is also another, grocery store that tends to be a lot lower with their prices. But what you want to do during this time is find ways to reduce those variable expenses. So the things that you can control. Eating out, shopping, all of those different things that we kind of do subconsciously, how can I cut back and be prepared if we do go into a significant downturn whenever that happens. Of course, when it comes to fixed expenses, those are going to be a little bit more harder to change, where is your rent or your electric bill, your water bill, those are tending going to be to stay the same. But what I will say is for the people out there that are renting, like myself, you want to keep in mind of, okay, if I'm in a situation where my rent is going to go much higher when my lease ends, I know there are many people out there that are experiencing that, where they're almost having to move out because the rate increases of their rent is going so much higher that people simply can't afford it. So if that's someone like yourself, you potentially may want to look at downsizing, finding a more affordable place that you can be able to live at, maybe even moving to another city that has a lower cost of living. This is what I mean when I say living within your means, finding ways to reduce your expenses, because when we do go through periods where people are experiencing job losses, you may not be working as much. The biggest thing that you want to do is keep those expenses low, so that way you don't have a lot of money that has to go out to bills or just necessities that you have. So you want to find a smart way to increase your income, keep your expenses low, and that's what I mean when I say have an effective spending plan and make sure you're budgeting accordingly. Another great rule that you can also do when it comes to budgeting is using the 50-30-20 rule. So 50% goes to required expenses, 30% to wants, 20% to saving and investing. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you are budgeting. Now, the second thing you want to do is, I talked about increasing your income. You want to look at creative ways of how you can be able to bring in extra money on a monthly basis, whether that's ride sharing, Uber and Lyft, Uber Eats, DoorDash, looking at being able to create a product or service online that you can sell to other people, creating good course, garage selling. There's so many different alternatives and things that you can do to help build your income and bring more revenue in on a month-to-month basis. But that's one thing you want to keep in mind, looking at ways of how you can have multiple streams of income. You don't want to be relied on your job, so to speak. You don't want one stream of income, because if you are a person that's affected by job loss, you have no other money coming in. So you want to make sure that right now you're properly preparing. You're looking at ways of how you can diversify your streams of income and have multiple sources coming in. So that way, if we do have, any type of recession, you're thoroughly prepared. Another major thing that you really want to focus on is having a sound emergency fund. I can't stress this more enough. I think even if we're not in a recession, you want to have an emergency fund because that's your anchor. That's something that you have in place if things hit the fan, you're not working, you've seen a significant decrease in your income, you still have a pool or a pile of money stashed away that you can pull from to help just stay afloat and to maintain your necessities of your standard of living. Now, typically the rule is you want to have 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. So you're going to look at all of your expenses, whether that's your rent, your phone bill, you're looking at, your electric bill, you're looking at your car note, your car insurance. You're taking all of those expenses, your necessities that you have to pay on a month-to-month basis, and then you're going to times that by either 3 or 6 months, and then that's going to give you your goal of where you need to focus on for your emergency fund. Because, like I said, nothing in life is for certain, and that's including your job. So you want to always make sure that you're paying yourself first, that you are keeping yourself first in mind when it comes to every time you are getting paid, you're putting something away so you can be prepared if anything were to happen into our market. Now, another thing that you want to also do is look at all of your debts. Look at your debts that's costing you the most interest, such as your credit card debt or even an auto loan. You want to look at, okay, especially when it comes to a credit card, there are a lot of credit card providers out there where you can do what's called a balance transfer, where you can take your credit card that's costing you the most interest, it has a high interest rate, you can transfer that to another credit card company, and a lot of these companies have what's called an introductory 0% APR. They're going to give you a 0% interest by just simply doing a balance transfer. And a lot of times companies, they do it for a year, some potentially longer. And this is great because, you want to make sure that if we are in a downturn in the market, you don't want to have high interest rate that you're having to pay on, that you may be behind on, and that interest just keeps piling up. If you do a balance transfer and you have a credit card that has no interest, well, if you do see a significant change in your income, at least you don't have interest charges piling up. Of course, you do want to pay your credit cards on time, and you want to keep your credit utilization below 30%, but we all go through hard times. So if you are going through a hard time, at least if it's on a credit card that doesn't have any interest applied to it, that keeps the amount of the interest that you have to pay back. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. And so this is the perfect time to start looking at refinancing any high interest debt that you may have, because like I said, those things become more expensive in an environment where we have higher interest rates, much more than where they are at now. They're starting to do rate hikes throughout the year. Now, another thing also when it comes to the student loan conversation, the federal student loans are currently postponed until September 30th due to the response of the pandemic. But if you are in a situation where you're still having to pay student loans, you can also look at ways of doing what's called an income-driven repayment plan. If you're not able to pay the loan payments every month, where they pretty much will look at your income and then they decide a payment based on how much income you have on a month-to-month basis. And right now they're postponed. So if you are able to pay on that principal now until September, that's vitally important because you can cut that principal down significantly and there's no interest being applied at the moment. And the final and the most important aspect of what you want to do to financially prepare for a recession is stay invested. I can't stress this more enough. It's easy to sell the stock position, the crypto position when the market is down. But in that situation, all you're going to do is lock in your losses. And the best thing you can do as an investor is allow the time in the market to work for you and have a long-term perspective, because being emotional when it comes to the day-to-day fluctuations of the market, all that's going to do is just bring you stress, and that's not going to do anything for you when it comes to accomplishing your investment and your financial goals. So you got to just stick to the plan, stay focused, and understand that markets are going to go up, they're going to go down. But when they go down, this gives us the opportunity to buy more at a discount and not buy them at higher prices. As an investor, that's what you want. When you go and shop and you go to your favorite retail store, you want to find a good sale. You want to try to find a bargain. You don't want to buy something at an overvalued price. So that's one thing that you got to keep in mind, and understand that, you know, recessions can be tough and it can affect a lot of people. People are losing jobs. You know, people are not making as much money. You know, psychologically, that can do a lot to a person. But I think that, you know, what we can do now is put ourselves in the best position so we are not affected as much. Where if a recession really impacts your income, you still have other things working for you. And I think that those that are the best prepared are the ones that can actually take advantage and can really be able to find opportunities in the recession instead of being hindered by it. But all in all, you know, I would say just staying calm and being able to think clearly when it comes to any type of recession, depression, whatever it is. That's the best thing you can do with navigating any financial challenge that you may go through. So I thank you all for watching this video. If you could continue to like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be notified every week when I drop content. And thank you all for watching, and take care.